A Twist in Time by Wolfo 8, Chapter 29. Cat and Mouse. What about my brother? Sauske replied flatly, his dark eyes narrowing with disbelief. Sakura could feel his guard go up by the way his shoulder muscles tensed beneath her hands. Yes, she answered, and averted her gaze to the ground, suddenly nervous. This might blow up in her face if she didn't tread carefully. But there was even the smallest chance this confession might save Sauske from his downward spiral of vengeance and madness. She felt it was worth the risk, especially now that her time travel mission was on the brink of becoming a complete and utter failure. And so, Sakura sucked in a deep breath and prepared to divulge the secret that had been plaguing her since she discovered it in Danzo's letter. She was interrupted by a pulse and collapsed forward. Sauske disappeared and Sakura landed, bare knees slamming hard against the paved surface. Dual sensations flooded her body, an imploding, heavy pain that pierced every inch of her flesh, and a rush of rejuvenating energy seeping out from the strength of 100 seal on her forehead, rapidly piecing her back together. She huddled on the ground, catching her breath like conflicting sensations fought to take hold of her, and her vision swam in and out of focus. Damn it! No! She cursed inwardly as she realized what was happening. There was no doubt she was suffering the effects of time travel. But how untimely this was, as he finally built up the nerve to confide in Sauske about the Uchiha massacre. Thankfully, her seal dampened the agonizing strain of being pulled to another time, but the headrest that accompanied the swell of her seal's chakra made the world spin. You went back. A voice urged Sakura to spring to her feet. Her body was heavier, sturdier, surrounded by the same three monstrous chakra signatures. Tsunade was standing beside her, facing where Orochimaru and a much older and more fearsome version of Sasuke she had been facing were standing. Their eyes were trained on her forehead. Yeah, she managed shakily, scanning the area to gauge what scenario she had stumbled into. There were leaf and sound ninjas clashing in the village streets, civilians scurrying about in search of shelter, buildings crumbling, smoke wafting through the night air. Sasuke's sword was in hand, and 3 kunai were splayed at his feet. That's right, I just attacked him. And you finally unlocked it, Tsunade added while nodding briskly. Good. Oh, interesting. Orochimaru chimed in, his thin lips curling into a sneer. His beady yellow eyes followed Link Sakura's body with interest, lingering on the diamond in the center of her forehead. She bit back and grinned. Like mentor, like student. I could say the same. Tsunade scoffed, tossing her blonde hair behind her shoulder and balling her hands into fists. This brat has become nearly as red and disgraceful as you. Sasuke's chakra spiked warningly, and the earth throbbed beneath their feet. In the blink of an eye, his sword was raised and poised to strike down the Hokage. Before she could think better of it, Sakura flash stepped between her mentor and the attackers, while pulling out another fistful of poison-laced knives, and instant instincts taking over. Out of my way, Sauske growled, his voice deeper than she was used to, and face as beautiful as she remembered, but hauntingly so. For a fleeting moment, a flicker of hesitation crossed his features when his eyes landed on hers. But Sakura stood her ground, lowering to a defensive stance with the blades pointing at his throat. She knew she had no chance of defeating the Uchiha prodigy, but he still wants to lay a hand on her mentor. She would fight back with everything he had. The moment broke and he lost patience, thrusting the sword down, intending to run both Sakura and Tsunade through with a single strike. But Sakura, who anticipated the motion, managed to evade the blade, dropped her knives, and managed to catch his wrist before it descended. A feat she witnessed sight before when they ambushed one of Orochimaru's hideouts and encountered Sauske for the first time after he defected. She gripped his wrist firmly, pumping her seal's chakra to this area to strengthen her hold. He immediately threw his other fist at her collarbone and attacked to knock her backwards, but she caught it with her free-gloved hand, her chakra swirling around them ominously. Sauske was taller and faster than she was. With her seal, their physical strength was on par, it seemed. And so, she bravely returned his dangerous glare and squeezed his wrist tighter, manipulating her chakra to latch onto and tug at the sensitive bones and tendons in his forearm. For a fraction of a second, Sasuke's eyes widened with panic as he realized what she was playing. In lightning speed, he shot his foot upwards, driving the heel into Sakura's chest, knocking the breath out of her, forcing her his release. Sakura stumbled backwards, gasping for air, channeling medical chakra through her windpipe to expand it and maximize the airflow to her lungs. Sasuke dropped his sword and leaped back to Orochimaru's side while staring at his wrist in bewilderment. The damage was done. Sakura had broken it. She felt Tsunade's hand on her shoulder, accompanied by a flurry of soothing chakra, a gesture of support and acknowledgement. Sakura felt a very stab of pride. I broke Sasuke Uchiha's wrist with my bare hands and forced him to drop his sword. Grown soft, have we? Orochimaru muttered to his apprentice while surveying Sakura with a curious, hungry stare. The comment did not sit well with her serpent. You! Sasuke spat, his eyes bleeding crimson, his face contorting with anger and a primal need for vengeance. He peered at Sakura through his matted black hair and coiled his body like a wild feline. Sakura temporarily froze with terror as Sasuke manifested into the face of her nightmares right before her eyes. She didn't have much time to embrace her fears and let them paralyze her because she needed to run. I'll draw him away from Tsunade-sama, she thought as she leaped backwards, flashed up to the rooftop of an abandoned office building, and tore away from the scene as fast as her legs could carry her. It didn't take long for Sasuke to catch up, though. The blazing heat crept around the ground near her ankle soon after, confirming that he was on her tail. She flipped from side to side in a zigzag pattern, hoping to evade his next fire-style attack. Then he intersected her path, aiming a series of fluid, ruthless like sequences at her. Sakura didn't have a chance to prepare any counter-strikes, so instead focused her energy on dodging and blocking his swipes at her throat over combat vest. It kicks to her abdomen. Thankfully, as a result of months he spent training with a younger version of Sasuke, she found it relatively second nature to predict his footwork patterns, which gave her an upper hand at avoiding his attacks. But even so, this Sasuke was exponentially faster, and stronger. She knew if they continued fighting at close quarters, it was only a matter of time before he used the lightning or fire element technique to finish her off. She caught a momentary gap between his strikes, and used that opportunity to flip backwards, towards the edge of the building's roof, and a drive of chakra load fisted to it when she landed. The empty, 5-story-high building was demolished on impact, its frames unhinging, windows shattering, the roof's surface caving in on itself. Sakura, who had strategically positioned herself near the water's edge, sprang from it nearby, one electricity pole, clinging to it with her hands and feet. Sasuke disappeared in the dust and rubble of the collapsed building, which, she prayed, would give her a brief window to strategize. But it didn't. Sakura's heart sank as Sasuke emerged from the crumbling structure, hovering in the air, supported by gigantic wings sprouted from his back near his shoulder blades. She gazed in disbelief at the nearly unrecognizable monster suspended in the air. White shirt discarded and exposed skin teased to sickly gray, his hair long, flowing down his back and mane like spikes. Arms of a dark cross spanning across the bridge of his nose and across his cheeks. His Sharingan gleamed in the night sky. And worst of all, everything about him reeked of Orochimaru. This is bad. A moment hesitation before Sasuke's eyes landed on her. Sakura leaped for the pole and crashed right through the upper floor of a window in a neighboring office building, barrel rolling inside, using her arms to shield herself from the shattered glass. As she jammed her to her feet, the heels of her boots sliding a little on ceramic tile, and sprinted down a deserted hallway, passing row upon row of doors leading to empty offices of conference rooms. Sakura arrived at a flight of stairs, and without wasting time to turn back and gauge Sasuke's location, went down 2 flights before sprinting back out to a hallway. He's too strong, she thought in a frenzy as he raced through the winding halls, hoping to put as much space between herself and pursuer to buy more time, till she either formulated a plan or until reinforcements arrived. She sprinted pell-mell through the hallways, masking her chakra signature to the best of her ability, and scanned for a temporary hiding spot to pause and catch her breath. After what could have been seconds, or hours for all she knew, Sakura finally settled on a random office on the outer side of the hall. She picked the lock effortlessly, searing the metal inner workings with a delicate stream of chakra. This was clearly only a civilian office complex, perhaps where even her father worked. Once inside, Sakura closed the door as quietly as she could, threw herself against the wall beside it, listening intently for any sign of Sauske arriving on the premises. Several minutes of silence passed, save her heavy breathing. She glanced at her reflection in the window on the opposite wall. Her forehead was lined with sweat, despite the relatively cold temperature. Her body was trembling with fright. She was no match for Sauske, especially in that demonic state. I need backup. Was Sauske even following her anymore? Perhaps he had carried someone else, distracting him from the pursuit. It was only a matter of time before Naruto showed up, after all. Maybe he... Bang! Sakura's breath caught in her throat at the abrupt sound further down the hall. What was that? Bang! Bang! Her heart drummed frantically as the rhythmic noises grew louder and louder, closer and closer. Bang! Bang! She clenched her fists and squeezed her eyes shut. Damn it! Someone was slamming open doors, one by one. Along the very hallway Sakura's office hideout was located on. Sauske was coming. Sakura's stomach lurched as she fell forward. Her head collided with someone's chest, and she yelped in surprise. Her mind and body disoriented and on high alert. Sakura's nerves spurred her action, urging her to straighten and confront the stranger. As soon as she caught sight of familiar dark eyes, the very face she had been fleeing with only seconds prior, her body moved automatically. The gloved fist was flying towards Sasuke's head before she could think twice about it. He had supplied the fist with his forearms when it was mere inches away from breaking his nose. What the hell? He sputtered before snatching her wrist and shoving Sakura away from him. But she couldn't find her words through the swell of emotions and panic. The Sasuke in front of her was wearing all black and was smaller, his chakra less potent, but he had the same terrible, murderous expression as the Sasuke who stood before Orochimaru. When she failed to reply, Sasuke stepped closer to grab the front of Sakura's black dress and pulled her towards her, until there was nowhere to look but his face. She whimpered with surprise, her body tensing in preparation to retaliate. My brother? He prompted, his tone harsh and stone cold. Oh, right. She was about to tell him, finally, before she went to the future. It was a ploy. Your revenge. The massacre. A ploy. She choked out, a prepared speech thrown out the window in a moment of desperation. Sasuke's expression was indifferent, and he continued to glare, waiting for her to continue. Your plan was planning an uprising, she stammered, recalling the offense of Danzo's letter. But your brother was faithful to the village. He carried out the homicide on Konoha's orders to protect it. I think, she finished, vaguely wondering if she was making any sense at all. The letter was carefully memorized and safeguarded at the back of her mind. And even so, there were probably pieces of the story she was forgetting. Her sympathetic nervous system was screaming at her to either fight or flee, so speaking calmly and coherently felt unnatural. What makes you say this? Sasuke's blunt response after a long pause, his emotionless mask plastered on thick. She released a breath, willing her body to calm down. I found a letter in the Hokage's office before the Chunin exams. A letter of execution written by a member of Konoha's High Council, she answered honestly, striving to come clean as fully and completely as possible. Sasuke released her dress, shaking his head bewildered without averting his wide eyes from her. Before the Chunin exams, he repeated. She nodded and motioned to shorten the distance between them again. It's probably hard to believe, but if you want, I could try to get my hands on... Get away from me. Sakura faltered and snapped her head to Sasuke's face, his eyes glazed over, its jaw set. What? She sputtered in a trance, while holding her advanced towards him. Sasuke, But he snatched at her shoulder and pushed her with such force she stumbled. She even fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the shock and physical repercussions of time travel. You! Sasuke snarled, his Sharingan igniting, and to her horror, black marks creeping along the base of his neck. Stay away from me! And then he left. Sakura just sat there, numb with confusion, on the tree-lined path connecting the village core to the training grounds, wearing her black funeral dress. Well, it certainly didn't go well. She thought in a daze, too drained to absorb the situation on an emotional level. Was he pissed off that she interrupted him? Was he trying to tell her something before she abruptly cut him off? Maybe he didn't believe her. Or perhaps he was offended she hadn't told him about the letter sooner, before they discussed defecting to the village as Anbu one day. Breathing hitched. Maybe that was it. He felt betrayed and probably hurt by her not fessing up when he proposed to merge their life goals. Then he felt used, misled. Well, whatever he felt must be powerful because, unless the Fuja Honin seal was breaking, the only way Orochimaru's curse could surface was if he deliberately chose to use its powers. He lost control, or some combination of the two occurred. It was funny how only now, after she had probably caused serious damage to their relationship, did Sakura truly grasped that Sauske couldn't feel the way other people did. Well, who could blame her for forgetting? After the emotional beings he'd taken him for years on end in her previous life, a being he generally refused to acknowledge, it was hard to fathom that she had the ability to, in fact, make him hurt. In this world, at least, certainly not in the future, where Sauske was now a monster, she was on the verge of death by his hand. She couldn't hurt him there. He was no longer human, and any stray of warmth he had ever felt for her was shrouded by darkness and bloodthirst. I need to get that damn scroll fixed, she thought in a daze. Because the next visit I pay to the future, this might be the last. Sakura found herself at the hospital later that evening, a place she frequented when she sought comfort and distraction. She didn't want to face Sauske just yet, and highly doubted he wanted anything to do with her anyways. She spent her time dropping in on long-term care patients, offering to help with the grunt work like filing and cleaning, and avoiding human interaction in general. After about an hour of this, she visited the quarantine wing, where the surviving victims of Orochimaru's disease were recovering. All of them, including Ino, were sleeping, except for a boy on the furthest bed from the entrance. Psst! He hissed across the room when Sakura entered. She looked up with alarm to find he was beckoning for her to join him. After exchanging curious glances with the nurses surrounding his bed, she did as he asked, only then realizing she knew who he was. You're the one from the forest. The one we found by the stream? She said slowly, her heart fluttering a little. The boy looked so much better than he did when Teen 7 encountered him in the second exam. There was color in his face, black spots were fading, the brown eyes were alert and vibrant. His hair looked so much lighter now that it was dry, so blonde that it was nearly white, and he appeared to be in his mid-teenage years. Sota, he said, introducing himself when she reached the bedside. Mostly extended his hand before remembering his arm was hooked up to IVs, securing it in place. Sakura, she replied with a curious bow, a real smile sprouting on her lips. He returned it. I just want to thank you for saving me back there. I'd be a goner if we hadn't crossed paths. He gestured for her to take the chair at his bedside. Glad I could help, she answered while sitting himself down. And thank you for, well, warning us about him. Her eyebrows furrowed as she recalled Soto's words after she healed him enough to speak. Eyes of a snake. He told me to find you. He nodded gravely, facial features hardening. He was one creepy guy, I'll tell you that. Sota said in a quieter tone, chuckling darkly. You didn't end up fighting him, did you? Sakura's stomach turned. Yeah, we did, she muttered, frowning. You're kidding, he whispered. Is your whole team making out okay? She shifted her gaze to the bed covers, hesitating, while fresh images of Sasuke's uncontrolled curse mark engulfed her thoughts. The ideas had come to allure the curse once. What does this mean for him? Her throat clenched. He wouldn't go to Orochimaru now, would he? Defect the village earlier than he promised her? What reason does he have to hold his promise now? He doesn't trust me. They didn't die, did they? Sakura met Soto's wide, unconcerned stare. No, she answered, feigning relief before rising to her feet. They're fine. Anyways, I better be off. It was great to see you again. Oh, he answered, visibly fest-crying by her sudden departure. You too, Sakura. Seemed like you wanted to add something else. Sakura turned on her heel and made a beeline for the exit. Sasuke, he couldn't have left for Orochimaru, could he? Surely Sakura hadn't upset him that much. He only activated Orochimaru's seal once, and by accident, as far as she could tell. But it wouldn't hurt to check on him, I suppose. She burst out of the quarantine chamber, toured around corners, and made a hysteric dash for the nearest exit, only to collide nearly head-on with Shikamaru. Yo? He said, flinching a little at her hasty movements. Hi, she answers breathlessly, fighting to calm a slew of emotions. Chill, Sakura. Act normal. Here to visit Ino? Yeah, he answered, while lazily rubbing the back of his neck. And as much as I'm happy she lived and all, I honestly hope she's sleeping this time. Sakura forced a smile. Well, you're in luck, she said dismissively, hoping to slip away as quickly as possible. By the way, your sensei came back, but you might have missed him on his way out again. She glanced. Wait, what? He shrugged, evidently not seeing what the huge deal was. He returned from a mission, but said he was leaving for a trip or something. A trip? Sakura put her head in her hands. Why the hell would Kakashi want to go on a trip now? Right after returning from a lengthy mission. She needed to tell him about Sauske, about Kabuto, the disease, and a billion other crises he couldn't face alone. Okay, Seaman said after a long pause. Well, thanks. Good night. Thanks. Night. He answered. Cocking a lazy eyebrows, he pushed past him. And nice diamond. Thanks. She responded stiffly without turning back. But then she remembered that Shikamaru had been there when he looked at the brains in Sasuke's flats. The brain scans Sakura claimed were taking on a piece of hers. The scans were regenerative chakra concentrated in the shape of a diamond. Hold on a sec, Shikamaru interrupted, picking up one of the scans. Our age, you say? A few parts of his brain look more mature than that, he mused. So either this piece is actually older and has some sort of neurodegenerative disease. This piece really is her age. His brain development is being accelerated in certain areas at an unnatural pace. She darted away as fast as her legs could take her, not wanting to speculate on how much so the most intelligent ninjas in the entire village might just be onto her. Sauske didn't answer when she hammered on the door of his flat, wee hours in the morning. She checked all the windows, only to find that most of the blinds had pulled shut. Sakura projected all the sensory chakra she could muster into the place, confirmed that either Sauske was concealing his chakra impeccably, or his flat was vacant. Next, she searched the training grounds they normally met each other at, then the path leading to Konoha's front gates, her house, and the hospital again, hoping beyond hope that this would end up like the last time she lost him. And he just turned up somewhere unexpectedly. You guys know during those romantic movies where we get to the third act breakup and we have the sad person running, seeing that the person that they loved ran away from them and they're running towards all their favorite hangouts and they're brokenhearted? Yeah, that's the scene. Surprisingly, it's effective. Not that I watch romantic movies, mind you! But he didn't, so as he returned to his flat, just as dull sunbeams poked up along the horizon and kicked in his front doors. Her eyes had set off a series of connected traps, persisted on different angles of the ceiling. Then about 20 senbon were flying at her. She flattened herself to the ground of his front hallway as fast as she could and rolled forward, knocking over an end table in the process, shielding her head with her arms. She managed to evade most of the weapons, only one lodged in her arm and another in her calf. She ignored them and started exploring the place for Todd to bomb. I couldn't help feeling disheartened that he didn't appear at the commotion she caused, and that his long black traveling cloak was not on the hook by the front door, where it usually was. After about 30 minutes of fruitlessly searching every nook and cranny of his tiny flat, Sakura collapsed in a defeated heap on the floor of his sitting room, beside the couch he normally slept on. Sauske isn't here, she thought while covering her face with her hands, omitting a fact she refused to acknowledge up until that point. Her head was pulsing with exhaustion, and her body was far too heavy and exhausted to move. What have I done? She thought. She curled herself, leaning against the seat of Sasuke's couch, tears pulling in her tear ducts and her stomach gnawing so tightly she felt like she was going to be sick. Sakura slept until midday, her exhausted body and mind refusing to rouse any earlier. Her green eyes flared to open to rays of a bright afternoon sun pointing through an opening between the window's curtains in Sasuke's doorless entryway. She collapsed to the floor in her sleep and scene, scarcely splayed out on the ground, half of her body beneath his coffee table. Her back was pretty sore after spending a night on a firm, wooden surface, but that wasn't the worst of her aches. She lifted her head up to examine her body. Was still clothed in a black funeral dress. Damn it! Sakura thought when she noticed the purple and yellow tints to the skins around her senbon protruding from her limbs. The wounds she neglected to heal before she slept were getting infected. Grief still weighed down on her, but it was muted slightly. Now she managed to rest and re-energize her body, just enough to get into a sitting position, and out of her slumber. She proceeded to heal herself, discarding the blade senbon on Sasuke's living room floor, scanned the parameters for any sign of his return or a break-in of some sort. It was unwise to leave the doors unlocked at night in a ninja village, let alone leave a gaping hole where the door should be. Aside from the records he caused the previous night, it didn't seem like anyone else had entered the place. It's not like Sasuke ever got visitors anyways, and she doubted anyone was looking for her, except for maybe her parents or Naruto, although the latter may have purposely left her alone to grieve. Next, automatically, Sakura made herself breakfast in Sasuke's kitchen, used a shower, and changed into the spare clothes she stored in his linen closet. Then she left without bothering to clean up her mess, lifting up and sealing the door shut with her chakra, and heading straight to Hokage Tower. When she arrived and demanded she speak to the Hokage, Sakura was informed by the Jonin guards that he was currently working on a demission assignment desk, so that was where she went next. She waited patiently in the hallway leading to the room, in line behind several other three-man teams of Ganning and Chunin, waiting for the next mission assignments. She twiddled her thumbs and fingers, and ran her gloved hands through her hair, which was mostly dry now after her walk in the afternoon sun, and ignored the curious looks from her fellow Konoha shinobi, particularly those directed at her forehead. About 20 minutes later, Sakura reached the front of the line. Next! She heard Sarutobi's gruff voice call from the partly opened set double doors. She pushed on through, carefully shutting the doors behind her, before turning around to face the third Hokage and Iruka, who were both seated at a long table on the opposite end of the room. Sakura, Iruka said with surprise, or exchanging a look with Sarutobi. What are you here for? You're a little young to be sent on a solo mission, Hokage added. But she could tell, by the way he was surveying her, that he knew this visit wasn't about missions. Bowed respectfully to her elders before taking a seat on the chair facing to them. I think Sasuke Uchiha left the village last night, she said shortly, shifting her piercing gaze between the two of them, daring them not to believe her. She resolved to report Sasuke's potential absence as soon as possible, so he might be caught before reaching Orochimaru. His departure had been so sudden that clearly this was some purr of moment choice. He'd regret this if he wasn't stopped. That he did, the Hokage agreed with a curt nod. Sakura rose to her feet and felt her jaw hang open. What? He left with Kakashi last night, Iruka piped in. He demanded they spend a month training in the land of rivers in preparation for the third exam, and he left immediately after. She stood there frozen in place, consumed by both relief and shock all at once. Sasuke didn't defect the village, even though he probably still hated her. At least he was in good hands. But why did he drag Kakashi away so suddenly? What was so special about the land of rivers? Now, you understand, normally I can't disclose this sort of information to you. Don't you, Sakura? Iruka added with a nervous chuckle, but glancing over at Superior. But since this retreat isn't exactly a mission, and since Kakashi is your sensei, it's fine, Sarutobi said while waving a dismissive hand. And I suppose on that note, sounds like Naruto will be busy in the near future as well. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, approached me this morning and asked to take her teammate under his wing for a month. Oh, Sakura answered while slumping back down in her chair. She couldn't believe how many things had happened over the last 24 hours. Although the fact that the boys were all training wasn't necessarily bad news, she couldn't help but feel a tinge of anxiousness. Her teammates now had personal instructors to help them for the third exam. She didn't even have a training partner, With Sauske gone and Lee dead, sir, he had a good shot at being promoted to tuning, but Kabuto wouldn't be an easy opponent to defeat. Sakura was in dire need of a rigorous physical training, perhaps a few more techniques at her disposal. Well, whom could she learn from them? Not only were the tuning exams concerned, but everything she endured, Sakura didn't want to be left in isolation, wallowing in her grief and guilt for an entire month, while the broken time trial school tore her apart from the inside out. Is there anything else you wanted to tell me? Sakura's eyes flicked back up to Sarutobi's calculating gaze. Yes, she said. I want extra security placed around my house, particularly at night. 2 ambu guards at minimum. It was Iruka's turn to rise from his chair. Why on earth would you need that? He questioned with raised eyebrows. Sarutobi remained silent and watched her intently. Perhaps because he had learned to take her claims seriously. Sakura was so tempted to divulge the truth about Richimaru and Kabuto stalking her, but she held her tongue. Probably because she was afraid that the confession would bring on a slew of questions she wasn't comfortable answering, and partly because she wasn't sure how much she trusted him. She had no doubt Iruka was a good person, but she needed to be selective with the people she opened up to. She also couldn't ignore the fact that Donato's letter was in the Hokage's office. Sarutobi knew the truth of the Uchiha massacre, perhaps even had a hand in it, yet he failed to tell Sauske about it in front of both their lives. So instead, he half-lifed their retreat. Considering how there's an outbreak at the hospital that only I can find a remedy for, the health and safety of the villagers rests in my hands. He explained bluntly. That makes me a vulnerable target. Brief silence followed, during which the Hokage clasped his hands and closed his eyes in concentration. Iruka returned to his seat. Sakura flattened the shirt of her training dress and pulled the ties of her head protector, waiting attentively for the Hokage's response. Finally, he spoke. Understood. Anything else? Oh, was all Sarutobi said. She released a sigh of relief. Oh yes, Sasuke's door needs to be repaired. I kicked it in. Iruka looked appalled, but Sarutobi shook his head, face relaxing slightly. That can be arranged. He chuckled. A small smile graced her lips. Thank you, Hokage-sama. She said while motioning to get up. I guess I'll go... Wait, Sakura. While you're here, there's something I can tell you about. She paused and Hokage's expression hardened once more. It's about Kakashi's recent mission. Sakura held her breath. Now that was something she clearly wanted intel on. Why the hell did Kakashi leave on such an untimely mission, right when she needed him most in the first place? But before the Hokage could re-elaborate, he was interrupted by the double door slamming open. Sakura nearly toppled out of her seat with surprise. Where's the kid? Came a husky female voice from the entrance behind her. Sakura's stomach dropped. No way. It can't be. The sound of heeled shoes clicking against the polished wooden floor met her ears. Sakura was so disabled with shock she couldn't move. Why, speak of the devil. Sarutobi sneered while rolling his eyes. Iruka once again sprang out of his chair. Sakura felt a new presence standing immediately to her right. She gently shifted her gaze in that direction, heart slamming in her chest. Tsunade-sama? Don't tell me you're the brat, was the answer she got. Tsunade's amber eyes narrowing, and body stooping down long enough for Sakura to smell the alcohol in her breath. But she didn't care. Tsunade was here, in all of her overwhelming, powerful, and beautiful glory. Sakura's mentor was in the village, someone who might support her, who she might be able to trust. She couldn't find the words to respond. Good evening, Tsunade, the Hokage said while raising his eyebrows. I see you discovered some of Konoha's finest entertainment spots. Tsunade pulled her eyes from Sakura and hiccup while standing comfortably over Hokage's desk, swaying slightly, with a half-empty bottle in hand. Your men are smart, but give them that much. There's no way any of you Konoha rats could drag me here unless I was drunk off my ass. She slammed her free hand down on the table as she arrived at it, cracking the surface with sheer force. While Hokage stood at attention, Ruka seemed to slink down to the ground. When no one answered her, Tsunade continued, adjusting the stooping headline of her gray shirt. That Kakashi fellow, whatever his name was, I thought he was some suave young gentleman, with how many drinks he got me at that bar in Kiri. Our words slurred together slightly. Kakashi-sensei, he brought you here? Sakura stammered while also carefully getting to her feet. Tsunade turned back around, squaring up her future apprentice. He did, she answered, a wicked grin sprouting on her lips. I thought it was bullshit, though, when you mentioned having a student with powers like mine. He insisted I meet you. He strode back over to Sakura until she was towering over her, a drop of alcohol trailing down her chin. I never thought I'd imagine you would have stolen my technique. Her gaze lingered on Sakura's forehead. Are you here to train me? She breathed. No, kid. To fight ya.